So this is the new Oppo Find X8 Pro, and it's one of the two in the series. So you have the Oppo Find X8, and this is the Pro version, and it's running on the latest MediaTek Dimensity 9400. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM, it has 512 gigabytes of internal storage, and it's just got loads of camera stuff going on here, 50 megapixel all over the place. But is it actually exciting though? We're going to find out in this video. Let's take a look at the design first. So before we start talking about the design, let's see what's in the box, what you actually get. So we have the box in front of us here. It's got Oppo AI phone because there's loads of AI stuff going on here. And let's not forget that Hasselblad branding as well. But we'll move that to the side and see what else is in here. So obviously you'd get your phone normally, but this big box here is full of some goodies. So let's open this up. So we get the safety guide and quick start guide. Then we have a charging cable and data transfer cable, which is USB-A to USB-C, which is an interesting decision. Usually we get USB-C to USB-C, but that's also okay. Of course, let's not forget the good old SIM ejector tool there. That's also available in the box. Right, now that we've got that out of the way, so we know what we get in the box, the device itself is finished in pearl whites. There's also a black version as well. But the way they've designed the pearl whites, they say no two devices are going to be the same. It's just the way that's finished and the way that they've designed it. And then we look at that Cosmo camera array design, which looks pretty cool as well. It's got an Hasselblad right in the middle there as well, so you're never going to miss that. And also this is a quad camera setup, all 50 megapixels, but different sensors and different aperture and all that kind of stuff, which we'll talk about shortly as well. And you got the flash just in the corner there as well, so we're not going to forget that. And then we look on the side, we have our volume rocker right there, and we also get the power button, and there's also the quick capture sort of button there. It's not actually a button, it's just like a thing. It's got sort of haptic feedback to it as well when you press it. So that reminds me of a certain brand, but yeah, that's there. And then we look on the bottom, we have a USB-C port, we have the speaker grill and the SIM card tray right there. And then we look on the other side, we have your slider. So this is, you can go silent slider, so you can go silent, you can have it vibrate or whatever. So you can use that to quickly switch between things if you want to. And then up top we have infrared blaster and also your microphone as well. So again, it's nice that they got that IR blaster on there because most phones don't have that anymore. But if that's something that you use, it's there on the new Find X8 Pro. So more on the display though, we have a 6.78 inch 120 Hz refresh. It's LTPO, it's 450 ppi, and it's 2780 by 1264 in terms of the pixel count. We have 800 nits at the lowest, so it can go all the way up to 4500 nits local in HDR, and this also supports 2160 Hz PWM dimming. So with that, it just means it's also quite friendly when it comes to your vision. So when you're staring at OLED for so long, it might start to affect your vision. So it's actually quite good in terms of eye strain. So as I said earlier on in the video, this is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 9400, which is the latest and greatest. And also that is a TSMC 3nm processor, and it works really well. It's very fluid, it's very smooth. And to go with that, we have 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. And also you can share some of that storage to increase your RAM level as well, which is pretty cool. It's not new, but it's cool to have on here as well. And then we have ColorOS 15 and Android 15 as well, so skinned with ColorOS. We'll talk about the software because it has some cool AI features as well that we need to talk about in this video. As for battery, we have 5910 milliamp hour battery. It supports 80 watt super VOOC charge and 50 watt Air VOOC, so wireless charging. And if you want to do reverse charging, it's going to have 10 watt reverse charging capabilities. In terms of durability, this is very durable. I've even taken off the screen protector that's always on there, and it's done so well so far, me dumping it out and about in my bag, in my pocket with my keys and so on and so forth. But this is IP68 and IP69 rating, so you'll be able to use this comfortably, submerge 30 minutes on all that jazz. You'll be able to do this comfortably without having to worry about durability. So more on the camera, some specs out there for you. Is a quad 50 megapixel setup. So we have a 50 megapixel main camera, so the wide, which is a Sony Light 808 at f1.6. Then we have a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle lens in there, which is a Samsung 5K JN5 at f2.0. And there's a 50 megapixel tele lens, so triple prism periscope lens, which is a Sony Light 600 at f2.6. And then there's another 50 megapixel telephoto Sony IMX858, which is f4.3 aperture periscope. And then, like I said earlier, 32 megapixel front-facing camera, but this is a Sony IMX615 at f2.4. So next thing, let's talk about the performance. I think it works really well. It's very smooth and it just runs really well. It doesn't have many, actually there's no bloatware on there besides all the usual Google stuff that you'd normally get on a new phone. And it just, you know, it's fine. It just works really well. This is one of the first devices on the market that comes with Circle to Search besides or outside of your Pixel devices. So you get Circle to Search on here. You've also got Google Gemini installed on there already as well. Some AI features that we get in the software includes AI Studio. And with AI Studio, once you register and whatnot, you can do things like AI Portrait, AI Reimage. So on AI Portrait, for example, you can start doing different styles and stuff to enhance your imagery. And there's AI Reimage, or basically reimagining your picture using AI. And with this one, you'll be able to do things like 3D cartoons, oil painting, crayon drawing based on whatever you've taken or uploaded to it as well. There's loads of options as well, like cartoon, texture, drawing, and so on and so forth. So you have loads of options there for AI Reimage. In documents, using AI, you can do things like summarize your documents, you can translate documents, and so on. So really cool stuff that you can do using AI. For the display, it's very vibrant, it's sharp, it's got really good level of contrast and blacks, and when you're watching movies and whatnot, it just looks really good. So bravo in that area. And for those people that care about your Geekbench benchmarking tools and stuff, I did install Geekbench 6 on here just to run it through. And then if you look at my CPU scores, you can see I've done 2 tests there, because you can have this battery in balance mode, or you can have it in full power mode, for example. So when I ran it in just the balance mode, this is the score. I was getting 2142 on single score and 7355 on multi-score, which is absolutely brilliant. It's really good. So whether it's you running single core applications or you're doing multiple stuff, this will handle all those things comfortably well, even in balance mode. And then when we look at my score, when it comes to the full power mode, it increases a bit as well. You can see there 2920, and then you got 8934 in terms of multi-score. And then we go back out, we look at the GPU. I did Vulkan and CPL. We look at the first one, you can look at your Vulkan score there, 24421. Again, really good scores, very high up there. And we look at the other one as well for OpenCL score, 210363. Again, looking good in terms of those scores. On to gaming, I was running games like Call of Duty on here with no issues at all, getting good frame rates as well, Genshin Impact, everything works really well. You can go into your game mode settings and also adjust things in terms of how well it works. So your refresh rate and also the battery performance, the way how much power goes into it, you can adjust all those things. But regardless of which mode you go with, it runs really smoothly, runs really well with no hiccups at all. Very smooth. Over into camera and photography, really good, especially when you have good lighting conditions. So when I'm out and about taking photos, when it's nice and bright outside, there was no issues at all in all the focal length that you can shoot at. When it comes to low light situations, that's when you start to notice where things are lacking, especially when it comes to the telephoto and not the main ones. So the telephoto lenses, they don't really do well in a low light situation, but you can still capture images that's still usable in that kind of scenario. But one thing I did love though is all the smart modes that you now have. So you have things like smart scenes, so you have stage, silhouette, and fireworks. Stage is good for when there's a performance on the stage or you go out on a night out, for example. I was capturing some really good shots using that stage mode, which means it brings out all the vibrancy, the colors look really good, and the sharpness are really good as well without overdoing it. So it looks really good. So that's the kind of stuff that you can do on here. Front facing camera looks good as well. And even in video as well, you can do some really cool shots, take some really good videos on here. So for example, if I go to settings, we can shoot 4K at up to 60 frames per second. So you can feel your boots and just go wild in terms of getting creative in terms of what you can create on here. And you can go ultra wide 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, and even 6 times. 6 times looks good, like I said, but always it looks good when you're in good lighting situations. When you're not in good lighting situations, that's when you start to notice some areas where it's lacking in terms of that zoom. But ultra wide looks great on here. I love taking pictures of this when it comes to that ultra wide angle lens. It just gives you a really cool perspective when taking your photos. So that's something to bear in mind. So that's pretty much it about the device. So it ticks so many boxes when it comes to the design. I think it looks fantastic, especially in this pearl white finishing. I think it looks great. It looks very premium. They've slimmed down the camera array on the back so it's not too bulky anymore, and it looks really smart. I love the groove around it. It's really nice. And when we talk about the display, it's vibrant, it's sharp, it's a really good display. Processor-wise, it's powerful, it's efficient. In fact, my friend, a lover of tech, he did his battery draining test, and this came out on top in terms of the level of battery performance that you get out of this thing for that just over 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And it stays cool as well in comparison to other competitors on the market today in terms of the flagship devices on the market. So it does really well. So I'll put it on the screen so you guys can check the full rundown on this channel in terms of the battery drain test. Elsewhere though, the question that I had in mind is, it's got everything going for it. Good performance, good battery, good display, good design, etc. But is it exciting enough for you to want to swap or consider this instead of other flagships, so your Pixel 9 Pro XL or the Samsung S24 Ultra? Is this exciting enough to consider those over this? I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure because, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't offer anything that's so much extra that it makes you want to take this over the other ones, especially if you have them already. If you don't have them already, the competition is very, very tough for this device coming out right now. So that's something that I would conclude at. But if you're looking for a new phone, this is definitely one to consider. It's a brilliant device. It looks great. And I don't have many faulty things to say about it. It's just, it does everything it needs to do really well, besides some area in that telephoto camera lens. But over to you. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, let me know as well. And make sure you check out Lover of Tech for that battery comparison, battery drain test, not comparison, and everything else as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Drop your questions below and don't forget to subscribe.